The problem with you is you're whining like a little fucking baby.
What's going on, fam? It's your boy, Papa Swolio, back with another episode of Ask Papa Swolio. Remember, if you want your question featured right here on the show, just drop your question in the comments down below with the hashtag AskPapaSwolio, and I will get to them as soon as I can. Let's jump into today's episode with the first question from Josh Vargas, and he asks, Papa Swolio, do you have a focus on strength, hypertrophy, or have more of a focus on general health? For my entire life, my career, ever since I started training, I wanted to get big. I wanted to get as big as I possibly could. Naturally, of course. Eating big, training big, lifting for mass, lifting for size. It wasn't about strength, although strength is a component of building muscle size, muscle hypertrophy. But lately, in the last few years, it's been more on health. I'm just kind of burnt out from trying to build tons of muscle. I'm burnt out for trying to get stronger and going heavy all the time and just lifting and bulking. It's like, when does that end? Once I got to like a 500-pound deadlift, it was like, where does it go after that? Do I go 510? Do I go 515? 535. It just became a point of just diminishing return for me. I didn't see the benefit in just pursuing strength over a long period of time, like in my distant future. It's not realistic for me. It wasn't in the cards. So now it's just 100% health and some personal enjoyment, some things I do for myself, but a lot of yoga, a lot of meditation. It's a lot more up here than it is physical, which is great. And it's a big shift because I still have these urges to go and crush and lift weights and go heavy. And I feel like I'm getting smaller, but at the same time, I just don't care. So there's kind of like that push-pull, no pun intended, of maintaining muscle size, building and lifting for hypertrophy, but also focusing a ton on mobility, recovery, and mental health. Question from Mateo Sansone. Papa Swolio, how old were you when you started lifting? What age do you recommend starting? When I first got relatively exposed to lifting was when I was about 16 or 17. I started training regularly and hard when I was like 18, 19. That's when I really started crushing it, really. In high school I did, but my first year of college was when I really started training very, very consistently and regularly. So I would say about 17, 18 was when I really started training. And I think that's a great time period. I mean, you're still growing until your early mid-20s, like in developing your brain, your body. But a lot of people are starting really young now, especially with social media. Kids are lifting at 12, 13. And I'm not saying that's bad. I think you should be active. You could do yoga. You could do beginning strength training. You could learn form and technique and be physically active. But going super heavy and doing tons of bodybuilding stuff when you're really young, I don't know. I don't know if there's really ever, or there has been a lot of like stunted growth. I think you have to really overdo it to cause any issues like that. There are more people lifting now than ever, especially that young. So I guess we'll have to find out if there's any issues from that, but not that I've heard. You can do it really young. Hell, you can start lifting technically when you're a baby, 6, 7 years old. You have really light weights and you're moving, you're doing yoga, right? Kids do downward dog first. Kids do an overhead squat to stand up the first time. They put their arms over the head and they stand up with their arms up. It's usually how kids stand up. You can learn a lot about how to squat from a baby squatting, because a baby does a full depth squat. They don't have the compensations and the issues that older people have. So moving when you're young and moving as freely as possible for as long as you can is always optimal. Resistance and overload training, I think you should begin at least in your later teens, if not later than that, but no one's gonna listen to what I have to say. When you're reading this, you're probably already in your early 20s or something at this point anyway, but just do so safely. There's no rush. You got your whole life to look forward to smashing yourself up. Don't try to get it all your gains just because you see a lot of Gymshark kids at 16, taking drugs and shit like that. Question from Cobus Vanderwalt. Papa Swolio, what do you think about mini cutting and bulking? Like bulking for say 2 to 4 weeks and cutting for the same amount of time. I think you'll probably gain a little bit of weight and then lose it. I mean, you're not adapting to anything in 2 to 4 weeks. When you change your nutrition plan or you change a lifting plan or progress it, you're not gonna see that much progress in 2 to 4 weeks. You may, if you do everything perfectly in 2 to 4 weeks, you may put on a pound of muscle. 2 pounds, maybe, like if you're fucking on point. Like literally, that's how slow you put on muscle mass. You're not gonna put on 10 pounds in a month. You're not. You put on water weight and fat too. You're not putting on lean mass that quickly. Unless you're taking anabolic steroids, you're not gonna build that much muscle that quickly. Maybe a pound or 2 a month if you are crushing it and you're nailing everything. And that's not gonna be consistent over the course of your career because of course you adapt to things. And you're not gonna know you're down to like the minute micro ounce of gains, as you go through your lifting. You're gonna be focusing on your nutrition and training. You're not gonna be measuring everything that accurately. Maybe in the future we'll have technology that is accessible to each person where you just hold up your phone and it scans your body and tells you exactly where you are, but you're not gonna know that. So if you're trying to bulk and you put on size, you're gonna have to do it for at least 3 to 6 months, in my opinion, at the absolute shortest, if you want to make considerable progress. Question from Anne-Marie Tabler. Papa Swolio, over the past year, I've lost about 80 pounds, mostly through better personal nutrition, and I am working on losing another 60 to 70 pounds while adding regular workouts to my routine. Due to my weight loss, I now have loose and saggy skin under my arms and lower stomach. I was wondering what exercise or other changes I can make to build and tighten my skin in these areas. You're not going to tighten skin. If you have loose and saggy skin, unfortunately, for all my experience, you're going to have loose and saggy skin. Like your skin stretched and grew, your epidermis is an organ, your skin grew because you grew fast and adapted to you having more body fat on you. So now that you lost a lot of body fat quickly, what's happening is you have bigger clothes. Your skin is like your jacket. You still have the big jacket, you just have less stuff underneath it. So I don't know. You're gonna have to check with a professional. You might have to have surgery. That might be your only option. For all my experience, there's no exercise or no specific nutrition routine that shrinks skin. It's kind of like you grew it and now you still have it because you grew it for the needs of covering your body when you had more body mass, when you had more fat on you. It works the same way with muscle growth. If you get really, really big, but then you lose a lot of muscle mass, then you'll have extra skin. So it might just be something that you have to deal with, or you might have to check out medically. So sorry, I can't be of more assistance. If anyone else has any other thoughts or ideas, drop in the comments below. Question from Angelica Obara. Papa Swolio, can anyone start yoga or do you need to have a certain level of fitness? What is the best way to start? I found your content very helpful in trying to get back in shape as there is so much bullshit in the fitness industry. Thank you very much, I appreciate that. And yes, absolutely anyone can start yoga and you do not need to have a certain level of fitness. You could do yoga from a wheelchair. There are geriatric yoga classes where people can barely stand up, but they're practicing yoga. So every single person, anyone can do yoga. Everyone should be doing yoga. You can start right away. Is there the best way to start? Yeah, the best way to start is just to start. If you're doing it in a studio, make sure it's an all levels class. Tell the instructor or the person at the front desk that's your first class and which class would be best to start. You could also call in advance. You could also, if you want to do it at home and you're a little bit hesitant to do it in a studio, you could join Swolenormous X, my private membership community. We have a full yoga studio. We have a lot of mobility classes, all the nutrition and programs I talk about here on the Ask Papa Swolio show and my Daily Swole podcast, all that information, all the physical training components to strength train, for mobility, for yoga, for recovery, nutrition, all of it is in Swolenormous X, so you can learn more at swolenormousx.com. But there are tons of videos here on YouTube for free. There are lots of classes probably in your area that you can do. Just make sure it's an all levels class and try different instructors, see what you like best, and don't judge yoga by one class and one style. There are many different styles, many different flows, and the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. And it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing for your mental health, for your physical health, and there's really no good or bad at yoga. I said you can get better at it, but improve for yourself. There's no good or bad. There's just the journey of yoga and the practice of yoga. So I highly recommend it to you and anyone else watching this video. Sneaking Elephant. Papa Swolio, what would you recommend as a pre-workout if you cannot have caffeine? Listen, anything's a pre-workout if you have it before your workout. If you can't have pre-workout, most pre-workouts are based on getting you ready for your workout, right? It's caffeine based. That's why most pre-workout things like freaking Bang or any kind of powder usually has 200 to 300 milligrams of caffeine. That's like 4 or 5 cups of coffee. So if you believe in those other nutrients, if you want to have creatine, and if you want to have BCAAs, I mean, creatine's great. BCAAs and those kind of things you don't really need. Citrulline, malate, what else is usually in pre-workouts? Beta-alanine, these other stimulants. I mean, there are other stimulants out there. I'm not going to go through listing them here, but you can Google them. But there are other stimulants that might not be literally caffeine. It depends on why you can't have caffeine. Is it because you can't get your heart rate elevated? Why can't you have caffeine? I'm more curious about why you can't have caffeine as opposed to what you can take. So anything in the world that you have before your workout is a pre-workout. Maybe a banana is your pre-workout. If you can't have caffeine, I'd be hesitant to recommend any type of stimulant. And then the other active ingredients in the powders, most of them you can get from food. You can supplement with creatine, but the BCAAs and glutamine, that kind of stuff, you don't really need. Question from Tissa1124, Papa Swolio, is it possible to tighten loose skin around the belly after having kids without having a tummy tuck? More often than not, no. If you have extra skin, like I mentioned before in a previous question, it's because your epidermis stretched and grew to handle the size of your stomach for childbirth. So you might have to go check with a professional and see what they have to say. But in terms of exercise and having just saggy skin, there's no exercise or topical cream or things that I'm really aware of that makes so much of a difference that you don't need surgery. So again, anyone that's reading this or watching this, drop in the comments below if you have something else to add to that. Question from Hooven Eric. Papa Swolio, does walking, for example, 3 hours every day of walking with good posture, create any imbalances in the body? If yes, then what would be a good corrective exercise? So I'm assuming you walk for 3 hours every day, and the only imbalance it would cause is if you have other imbalances that you are perpetuating by having poor dynamic posture. So you have posture when you're standing, like right now, this is my static posture. If I'm walking, my posture and my joint alignment while I'm walking is my dynamic posture. So if you have weak glutes, walking is not going to activate your glutes. If you have a problem with hip instability, walking may strengthen your hips by giving you movement and locomotion, but it's not corrective exercise. Walking is very repetitive. So if you have an existing imbalance, walking might actually make it worse because you're adding pounding and force and movement to an already imbalanced system. It depends on what's going on aside from the walking. I would recommend glute activation exercise. I would recommend proper footwear. I would be careful with having an elevated heel, but that's my recommendation. You have to build up into barefoot shoes or neutral footwear, but I would add yoga to help address any of the issues that may exist, and glute activation and strength training like anything else. Walking is great. It's natural for humans, but wearing improper footwear and having existing other issues may actually be exacerbated by walking, depending on what your individual posture and what your individual joint balance is like, which I have no idea. So thanks for the question. Question from R.A. Athena. Papa Swolio, I love your channel so much. I listen and watch your videos every morning. Why, thank you so much. I'm glad you're enjoying the daily uploads. I go to the gym at 9:30 p.m. I like to sleep in the morning and I work all day, so that's why you go to the gym at night. Gotcha. I don't know if I should be eating around 12 a.m., which is midnight, since it's late. Should I not eat or should I? How many calories are you utilizing during the day? Are you trying to lose weight? Are you trying to gain weight? What kind of workouts are you doing? It's not just about going to the gym, when should I eat? You shouldn't eat at night if you're awake all day and you've consumed as many calories as you want or need or require, and then eating at night is just excess. So it depends on if you're trying to bulk, if you're trying to build, if you're trying to lose weight, build muscle, what kind of exercise are you doing? That would determine when you eat and how much. So don't worry so much about what time, although you probably should be going to sleep at night and not eating at 2 o'clock in the morning. I sometimes eat late at night, so it doesn't mean that you can't get results that way, but I don't know what your goals are. I don't know what you're eating. I don't know how much you're eating the rest of the day. If it's after your workout, eat your food. Like, are you getting results that way? Are you getting results? Like, you're doing this. You say, should you be eating? Obviously you are. Are you getting the results that you want? And then, of course, I don't have all the other details, but think about that. Anyone that's watching this, the answer to this question is, what are you trying to achieve? What's your goal? What are you doing? Are you seeing results? Are you seeing progress? And have you tried other things for a long enough time, disciplined enough to be able to compare the two? You got to customize your fitness for your lifestyle. If that's what you like to do and that's getting you results, then fucking crush it. Well, thank you everyone for joining me for this episode of Ask Papa Swolio. If you want your question answered right here on the show, just drop your question in the comments below with the hashtag AskPapaSwolio, and I will get to them as soon as I can. Remember to subscribe to the Daily Swole podcast.
And join me for my daily live stream.
Join me for my daily live stream on my second channel, Daily Swole Podcast. But the link is down in the post description. You can subscribe, and it's available everywhere: Apple Podcast, on Spotify, anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can listen to the Daily Swole Podcast, and you can watch it live on YouTube on the Daily Swole Podcast channel. Again, thank you for joining me for this episode. I'll see you next time. Peace.
Click the link, motherfucker! Click the link! Click the link! Watch another video, like and subscribe. I know you want to. You know you want to. Come on, everyone knows you want to. You love Papa Swolio. You love the man bun. You love the sick bugging gains. You love it. Oh, oh, oh. You love it. Oh, 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 oh.